Hello there and welcome to episode 34 of The Moaning Show. I'm HED Rules 0001 and in this edition I'd like to talk to you about a man who quite frankly has it all. A man who is boss of a sporting business, and he quite frankly is one of the most hated men I would think in the planet. He's got money, he's got power, he's basically got everything. I'd like to talk to you this week about Formula One boss Bernie Ecclestone. Now, the reasons for this video are, well, I'll go through them with you. The mere fact that to Formula One fans, I think he is a dictator. He has been at the forefront of Formula One for well over 20-25 years, and he has too much say. He is the boss of the commercial rights arm of Formula One, and apparently he has the say of where races take place, when they take place, but quite frankly all the power that he should have is to get the commercial people in, you know, the sponsors, the people that televise the event. That's sort of his job, and that's basically another reason why I'm put him forward as a subject for the Moaning Show, because he has destroyed the chances of me watching every race live. Not that I ever have seen every race live up until this point, up until this season, but I will never again probably see the Canadian Grand Prix live, or, you know, a certain Grand Prix live that has been on in the past on viewable free-to-air television. He has the power to say where races take place. In other words, in the past 5-10 years or so, we've seen circuits creep up out of nowhere, like circuits in Bahrain, in Abu Dhabi, in China, you know, Singapore. These races have replaced what used to be Formula One grounds that have been Formula One circuits and countries for years. For instance, the San Marino Grand Prix at Imola. Yes, okay, it was the location of the death of Ayrton Senna and Roland Ratzenberger, but it was a great circuit and a great Grand Prix. You know, specifically in 2005-2006, we had real close racing. We lost Estoril years ago, well over 10 years ago. We don't go to France anymore. And the governing body of the sport, the FIA, stands for something like Fédération Internationale de Automobile, or something like that. The word Grand Prix is from French. It's the language of Formula One. And we don't go there. All because, and here's the reason, Bernie Ecclestone wants money. And he wants as much of it as possible, which is why recently we've had races in Turkey. Races that began in 2005, the Turkish Grand Prix, and this year in 2012 we haven't had a Turkish Grand Prix, and we won't get a Turkish Grand Prix because of low spectator, low ticket purchases. In other words, the attendances at the race were unacceptable as far as the race stewards were concerned. They were losing money, and so they pulled out, and Ecclestone said, right, no problem, I'll find somewhere else that wants to host a Grand Prix. You know, we're getting places like India and Abu Dhabi and places like that, and we're losing quite frankly, we're losing the proper face of Formula One. You know, and Ecclestone a few years back didn't want a British Grand Prix. Now, the first ever round of the Formula One World Championship, first official round, was 1950 at Brooklands. Formula One originated in Britain. Yes, there were races around the Monte Carlo circuit well before the launch of the official Formula One World Championship, but Ecclestone has the power to say where we go, what tracks we race at, what tracks are made, and he has the power to say this company can televise it, that company can televise it, or that company's not giving me enough money, this company can televise it instead. And because of Ecclestone and his money grabbing ways, the BBC and free-to-air television have lost rights to show Formula One live exclusively. Those rights have gone to Sky, and quite frankly, you know, there's not enough sport on TV anyway, and it gets kidnapped by a corporation that quite frankly is the forefront of a criminal organisation. Let's face it, the hacking scandal of the past 18 months or so, phone hacking scandals and misuse of public information, that's a criminal offence, and all they're going to get is that. Sky is part of that organisation, and you know, how in the blue hell can, you know, someone justify handing over rights to show a sport or rights to show anything on these particular channels with regards to you know, showing these things with an organisation that does that? How is that just? How is that right? How is that fair? It's not. And that's the problem with Formula One. It's Bernie Ecclestone saying yes, yes, yes. Oh no, we're not going there again. They don't give me enough money. And that is the whole fucking reason. Bernie Ecclestone is not necessarily a dictator. It's the fact that he wants as much money as possible out of whoever wants to give it to him. Now, Silverstone, the home of the British Grand Prix, has had to readjust more or less season after season to his wants and needs. One year he had difficulty in getting to the track because we had heavy rain and he couldn't get there, or he couldn't get there easily, and he was seriously thinking about stopping the British Grand Prix. Now, if you think about it, the Grand Prix that we are guaranteed to have every year are the Monaco Grand Prix, the British Grand Prix, the Italian Grand Prix, the German Grand Prix, and possibly the Hungarian Grand Prix. We are guaranteed those races every year. He was thinking of taking one of those away to leave 4 guaranteed races. Monaco will not be touched. Monaco, despite the efforts of other circuits like Singapore, Abu Dhabi, and all of those circuits, despite the efforts of those circuits and those race directors, stewards, promoters is the word I'm trying to look for. Despite the efforts of those promoters, the Monaco Grand Prix will always be the most important Grand Prix of the season as far as money and business go. And that is what Bernie Ecclestone is in Formula One for. He's not in it for the sport. He's not in it to see who's going to win a race or who's going to win the World Championship or, you know, who's going to do well in the constructors. All Bernie Ecclestone is involved for is to get money, and as much money as fucking possible. And quite frankly, you know, he's got too much power. The head of the FIA, who was Max Mosley up until a couple of years ago, who is now Jean Todt, who used to be boss of Ferrari, the head of the FIA should be the one that says, oh, yes, we're going there this season. You know, we're going here, we're racing here, here, but we're not racing there. It should be up to him and his, you know, his subordinates, so to speak, not one man who is kind of the commercial arm. He's responsible for bringing the money in, and you can bet that circuits like Bahrain, Abu Dhabi, India to a certain degree, you know, they said, oh, we want to host a Grand Prix in the future, and Ecclestone will go, well, yeah, sure, you can host a Grand Prix in the future. How much money are you going to give me? I mean, how much money are you going to give us? And that's the problem. There's no doubt, because another thing I want to talk about is Bahrain this year. Bahrain Grand Prix took place this year in a shroud of controversy. And the reason being was the fact that since, say, the winter of 2010, there has been political strife in Bahrain. There has been protests and all sorts of stuff going on over there. And Bernie Ecclestone wanted to host a Grand Prix as normal in 2011. And in 2011 the race was cancelled because there were fears for safety, there were fears for protests stopping the race and things like that, and so it was cancelled. Now, as soon as the race was cancelled, Bernie Ecclestone, I believe, started a year-long campaign secretly outside of the jurisdiction of the FIA, the governing body of motorsport in the world. He secretly started a campaign where he said, no matter what, we will have a Grand Prix in Bahrain in 2012, because he was worried about the fact that he might lose the rights to host a race in Bahrain from then onwards. Because Bahrain is an oil-rich company, they are full of people who are extremely rich, they are full of royalties and things like that, and they've got more money than most people combined, these people. And they wanted to host a race. Bernie Ecclestone didn't want to lose a contract. There must have been something in the contract when he signed up Bahrain for 2004 onwards that stated, if you can't host a Grand Prix for 2+ years, you will not get a certain amount of money. And that is all that this is down to. He didn't care about the safety of the drivers, he didn't care about the safety of the teams, the crowd, the television companies, all that were involved. He did not care a fucking thing about them. All he wanted was the back pocket bit of money from the people who hosted the race, and to make sure that relations were not strained, so continued Grand Prix were in the future. The Force India team in Formula 1 were attacked with petrol bombs outside the circuit and on their way to and from the circuit. They were attacked by protesters. And Ecclestone, they didn't take part in the practice sessions because of this. And Ecclestone just shrugged his shoulders and just said, well, that's the way things are in this country. They should have never gone to Bahrain in the first place. And they wouldn't have done if Bernie Ecclestone was not boss of the commercial arm. They call him the boss of Formula 1. He's more of a boss than Jean Todt is. Bernie Ecclestone doesn't make up the rules. Bernie Ecclestone is the one who said that the winner of the championship should be the person who wins the most races. This year in 2012 we've had 7 different winners from 7 different Formula 1 events. So the winner of this year's championship, as far as Ecclestone would be concerned, would be the guy who wins 2 or 3 this year. Because we're almost halfway through the season and we're getting so many different winners. But the man has too much power. He has too much say in what goes on in Formula One, and he doesn't care a thing about people that are less rich than him. He doesn't care a thing. He doesn't care a thing. He doesn't give a shit about us. And the sooner he either retires or the sooner he's dead, things will be better in Formula One. He can be quite amusing at times, but he always tries to avoid, you know, the obvious questions and things like that. And he's so arrogant as well. It's the fact, I mean, he must be 80, 85 now, and he's still not stepping down. Why doesn't he piss off and leave Formula One to be a better place? Because once he's dead, and I don't usually wish that on anyone, but once this bastard is dead, Formula One will be better. And, you know, I know this could be a joined episode with my other Formula One dedicated channel, and I may well post a link, you know, to it, because if you like Formula One like I do, I'll post a link to the channel anyway, and you can join me in Formula One discussion and things like that. But Bernie Ecclestone gets up my fucking nose because he has the power, he has the say, and quite frankly, all the power and say he should have is by bringing the advertisers in. You know, the big advertisers. That's all the power that he should have. The rest of the power should be left to a separate department. And maybe once he goes, either way, retirement or death, you know, things might start to happen. But nothing is going to happen. We're going to keep losing the traditional circuits. You know, I mean, if Monza disappeared from the season calendar, if other circuits, other traditional circuits like Silverstone, Monaco, if they went, there'd be uproar. You know, and there's talk of bringing the French Grand Prix back. I hope it does come back. We need a French Grand Prix. It's a main day of Formula One, or it was until Ecclestone decided otherwise. Why is it up to one man? Can somebody answer me that? So thanks for watching this particular edition of the Moaning Show. I know it's not been up to everyone's tastes. I can fully understand not everyone out there is a Formula One fan. This is actually the second show about Formula One that I've posted, but it's a subject that I feel strongly about. I feel I had to get my points across. And, you know, what do you think? Do you think that he's got too much power? Do you think he should be sort of excommunicated from the world of Formula One? Do you think that, you know, it would be better off without Ecclestone? You know, post your comments or thoughts, opinions in your comment box, or Facebook, Twitter. I'll get the pages up as well. Just follow the link in the description. I'll post a link to my Formula One channel as well, also in the video description, and I'll see you next time for more moaning.